Welcome to Educational Psychology course based on Mr. Mwangira's notes from TVTC. Thank you so much to Mr. Mwangira for the permission to use his notes because they are well simplified. And if you are a trainee teacher or you just want to start educational psychology for yourself to help you in your teaching of facilitating these videos that I'm going to make in educational psychology, they are going to be very helpful for you because the notes are simplified, yet they cover the fundamental principles of educational psychology. So without wasting much of your time, let us continue. So before we go deep into educational psychology, I would want us just to define what psychology is. So psychology is an academic and applied discipline involving the scientific study of mental functions and behavior. The academic and the applied discipline, it's a discipline involving the scientific study of mental functions and behavior. So scientifically, psychology involves studying mental functions, the mental function of the brain, the human mind, and behavior. So these are the major focus in psychology. Psychology is a science which concerns itself with the study of behavior, both human and animals. So we in psychology, you're not only focusing on studying the behavior of humans, but also the behavior of animals. That is what psychology is. It is an academic and applied discipline involving the scientific study of mental function, the functions of the mind and behavior, and how that relates to behavior. That's what we are talking about. So it's a science which concerns itself with a study of behavior both for human and animal. So it's not limited to just human beings, but also animals. That's what psychology is. So the discipline of psychology embraces all aspects of human experience, from the functions of the brain to the environment in which humans and other animals develop, from child developing to aging or to adulthood. So what we are looking at in psychology doesn't just study the brain or mental functions right there and then, but it embraces all aspect of human experience, all aspect of human experience, from the function of the brain to the environment in which humans and other animals develop. So we are not just looking at the functions of the brain, but we are looking at all human experience, all the experience of human being, all the experience that a person goes through, and then from the functions of the brain to the environment. So how these human experiences a person has had influences the functions of their brain and even the environment, how the environment in which they are found is influencing their development, their behavior from childhood to adulthood until a person grows up. So that's what we are looking at. So psychologists study two critical relationships, one between brain function and behavior, and one between the environment and behavior. So there are two critical aspects psychologists focus on: the relationship between uh, how the mind influences behavior, and how the environment influences behavior. If you want to change the behavior of a person, you have to do two things. Either these two things, either you change the person's thoughts, the person's mental function, the thoughts, and they will influence behavior, or you change the environment in which a person is found, that also can influence behavior. So these are two critical relationships that psychologists focus on: the brain functions and behavior, and one between the environment and behavior. That's what we are looking at when we talk about psychology. So now in the next session, we are going to look at the application of psychology. But even without wasting much of our time, let us just maybe look into it. So psychologists make hypotheses and conduct studies in diverse areas, including how people develop, perceive, learn, think, what kind of personality we have, and how we interact socially with other people. So psychologists don't just make hypotheses, they conduct studies in diverse areas. So in all these areas, psychologists study them. How do people develop? How do people perceive things? How do people learn? In fact, in education psychology, we are focusing on the whole course of program focuses on how people learn and how we can make teaching and learning effective. And how do people think? What kind of personality do people have, and how people interact socially with other people? These areas also involve psychology. Psychologists study these areas, conduct studies in these areas. So it's a diverse or broad study when we are talking about psychology. So psychologists work in educational settings. Psychologists also work in human service settings such as hospitals, clinics, and independent practice. So by independent practice, this is where you go to a psychologist to help you deal with your issues, your psychological issues or struggles that you have. So psychologists further work as personal consultants or factors expertise in variety of areas, including sports psychology, where they help athletes to develop their full potential. Rehabilitation psychology, where they help injured people to regain their physical and mental function. When an athlete injures himself or herself, it's a very difficult. Someone can recover physically from the injury, but it's a struggle to recover psychologically. No wonder psychologist comes in this sports psychology, where they help to rehabilitate a person, to help them recover from the injury, not only physically but also psychologically. And finally, psychologists use their expertise in the area of industrial and organizational psychology, where they help corporations to select and train their workers more effectively. So this is very important. The majority of industrials and organizations have psychologists, and one of the areas, especially in the financial markets, companies that trade the financial markets, they emphasize so much on having psychologists on board, because trading is a mental business, or it requires the mind. It's psychological. It's all about the mind. So if a person is not disciplined psychologically, they end up losing a lot of money. So these are other areas in which how psychology is applied in society. So that's what we are looking at. We are trying to understand. We will focus so much on the relationship between mental functions and behavior, and also relationship between the environment and behavior. So friends, as we progress, stick with me, and you will get more benefits and value from these videos. So see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.